Alright, let's go over some Mac quick tips. Okay, so the first one is you're working on something to kind of clear your screen. Alright, so you go to the keyboard and you hit Command first and then F3. That will clear everything you're working on and show the desktop. So now we have the desktop in front of us. We can do the same thing and go back and we'll kind of bring up what we were working on. Alright, now the first thing we do is how to take screenshots. So let's take some screenshots. This is an awesome, shoes and some shirt and jacket that I want to get for Christmas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screenshot of it. So I'm going to go to the keyboard now, and we're going to hit Command Shift 3. When we do that, it takes a screenshot of everything that's on the page. So I'm going to hit Command F3, zoom out, and come over here and actually going to click on the screenshot. It has the date and time next to it. And we're going to hit spacebar. When I hit spacebar, it actually brings up the screenshot that I just took. And you can see it takes the whole screen, everything that's on the screen. So I got that. Go back over to the image. But let's say I don't want to include everything. I just want to include, just this pretty photo right here with the shirt and shoes that I want. Okay, so let's go back over to the keyboard. And let's hit Command, Control, Shift, 4. So now, Command Shift 4 allows me to get it just on the crosshairs. So we can see on the screen here, I just have a crosshair so I can pick a certain section that I want. But by adding the control, I'm able to actually not put it on my desktop, but I'm saving it to my clipboard so that I can paste it somewhere. Okay? So let's go ahead and just do that. So I want to go ahead and get this picture right here. I'm going to grab that, just that section. And instead of going to the desktop and say added that control button, it's on my clipboard now. I can paste it somewhere. So where do I need to paste it to? Well, let's jump over to a different application. Now to jump over to a different application, I can of course click on the application down here, or if I have it open and running, I can kind of sort through them. Now the way to get to that screen is I go to the keyboard and I hit Command Tab. And by holding down Command, I leave this really cool bar up here. Now this bar up here has a square around when I'm switching to. So now let's say I want to switch. I'm going through by hitting Tab, I'm rotating through everything. Let's say I get to Microsoft Excel and I go, well, you know what? I really wanted to be on Firefox. I could rotate all the way through, or if I go too far, I can hit the tilde on the keyboard, which is right above the Tab button. Right above Tab is the tilde. At the tilde button, I go the other direction. So it's just really helpful to kind of know your way around Command Tab and Command tilde. So like I said, I'm going to go over to my mail, and I'm going to go ahead and click and open up a new mail that I'm going to send out to somebody. And this new mail that I'm going to send out, I'm going to have, and it's going to include my information. So information I want for Christmas. So just on like Microsoft, or excuse me, like a PC, Control C and V for copying and pasting works, but it's Command C and Command V. So I'm going to back over to the keyboard and I'm going to hit Command V. And since I have that image saved, it's right there, ready for me to screenshot, and I can send that to my girlfriend and tell her to buy it for me for Christmas. So there she has that now, and we're going to go and scroll out to something else. Okay? So let's go ahead and scroll. And we're going to go over to, I'm actually going to open up a completely different new application. So I'm going to go to this paintbrush application, and for really no reason besides just showing how to quit it. So let's zoom in once again on the screen. Inside the screen you'll notice that some of these applications, underneath them, there's a little tiny small circle underneath it. That little circle shows that the application's open. Now, if I X out of the application still is technically open. So I can close it two different ways. I can right-click, and right-clicking with your mouse pad, this trackpad right here, right-clicking, I use two fingers, I push them down at the same time, and it brings up my options here. So I can go and hit quit here, and that would quit the application and shut it completely. But we're all about shortcuts, so let's go and click on that application again. In order for me to quit it, I go to the keyboard, and I hit Command Q. Command Q not only gets it off my screen, but it completely shuts it out. So now that is completely done. Now, one of the things I strongly suggest is changing the way the mouse or the trackpad works. It'll come up inverted because that's more of an easy way Apple believes that the human mind works, but in my experience it's completely different. So what I always do is go to System Preferences. System Preferences is here. I got to it by the top left-hand corner. The Apple button, System Preferences, it brings up this screen. I go to the trackpad, here in the second line under Hardware, and here I uncheck the scroll direction natural. Maybe just because I'm not natural, but it makes sense. If I pull my fingers down, it goes down, I go up, it go up. Speaking of that, let's go and talk about the trackpad itself. So the trackpad, like I said, 2 fingers allows you to scroll. 3 fingers is where it gets interesting. If I have 3 fingers, it recognizes it, and I'm able to actually push up with the 3 fingers, and it shows all the things that I'm working on. So I can sit there and zoom back in, go back out. The other thing is you can also do 3 or 4 fingers left or right, and it shows the different desktops. So this is desktop number 1 for me. If we zoom in on the screen here, on the screen I have business on this screen. On desktop number 2 I have something personal. 3 I have my Photoshop and Illustrator and other things I've been doing creatively, and so on. So what I can do to get over to these is I'm going to go and zoom back out. I'm going to be looking at my trackpad. I'm going to use 3 or 4 fingers, and I'm going to slide to the right. I'm going to go through my different desktops. So that way I can keep everything nice and organized. Okay? So that's how you get it between everything. Now let's go back to the browser, because the browser has some very unique things. So I'm going to do my browser, and I actually have a couple different windows open for Firefox. So this is the browser I'm using right now. I have Firefox. Let's say I want to go between those browsers. So I want to go between windows of the same program or application. The way to do that is go back to the keyboard. I'm going to hit Command and tilde. So in this I have Facebook, and the other one I have Twitter, and then another website I was checking out. So I can go back and forth. Maybe I'm checking Facebook, maybe I'm checking Twitter, maybe I'm looking at my American Express statement, and maybe I'm also doing some online banking in another window. I can easily shift back and forth. The really hard thing and tricky that very few people do is Control-Shift-Tab. This rotates between the tabs in my window. So I have Twitter and then these cool Firefox shortcuts I was looking up. I have those all here. And once again, that's Control-Shift-Tab. Not too many people use that one, but I highly suggest it. One of the ways to add a new tab is by simply clicking, go back to the keyboard again, we hit Command-T. Command-T brings up a new tab, and once again I can rotate through that, or I can go to any other website I want to. So Command-T I'm a big fan of, use it all the time. Someone says something in a conversation while we're by my computer, I hit Command-T, and I start researching it right then and there. Now I'm going to go back over to my other browser that I had open for something kind of really cool. Let's say I want to check out that letter that's written there and kind of see what that's about. You know, it's just for decoration. If I want to zoom in on something, what I do is I go back to the keyboard and I hit Command, hold down Command, and I'm actually going to zoom in on this. So let me, we'll go back a photo. And I can actually zoom in on the photo by holding Command and then moving my 2 fingers up. I can zoom in. Now, you might need to do this for kind of spot checking something and you get closer to something, or maybe you want to get a screenshot and so you actually want to zoom out and get the whole page because it's a very long page. So I'm going to go back out. Now once you've entered this alternate universe of your website being really small, how do you get back to normalcy? Well, you kind of go back and zoom in, but that's a little bit hard. So you can also go back to the keyboard, and we can hit Command-0. Command-0 neutralizes everything and you're back to normal. The final thing I want to show you guys is how you can have your corners set up. So they're called like hot corners. And for me, the biggest part is how do I get to either my desktop or how to get to all the applications that I'm working on. Now we set these up inside of System Preferences. They're called corners. But what I can do is my personal preference. This does not have to be something you follow, and your computer does not come up set up like this. My goal is to find a way how to get to my desktop that's the easiest. So this is what I did. Here's my mouse. If I go to the top right hand corner, everything disappears and you can see my desktop. Click it again, it brings it back. The bottom right hand corner, shows everything that I'm working on currently. Go in the top left-hand corner, strangely enough, it does the exact same thing. Couldn't decide between the two. Those were kind of the two things that I wanted to do, so that's what I have set up. And then the bottom left-hand corner shows me all my applications in kind of a line format. And I can click between these bubbles down the bottom and get between everything. So there's a couple quick Mac tips. Highly suggest checking out all the things that Mac has to offer. It's pretty cool, and it makes my life and my work a lot more efficient. Thanks.